Right. Well, here we are with another great, zesty signed up practitioner, my friend Roderick Lambert, and amazing practitioner, but he's got a really interesting angle on things. So, middle-aged men, pay attention. Roderick,
Indeed, indeed. And I am a middle-aged man, Phil.
me
50.
too.
Yeah, I know. I know. There are a lot of us, so surprisingly. But a lot of them end up the way that, well, I'm not sure about you. I think you also went through your own transformation, but mine was quite recent, about 6 years ago, and so I can say genuinely that I have been in that kind of successful corporate career, the rat race, and have seen and experienced the damage it can do to you at a fundamental health. I talk about cells, cellular level. But the good news is you can do something about it so that the next 30 years are going to be fantastic. Anyway, sorry, there you go. So, midlife men, hi.
Cool. Yeah. So, fill us in on a couple of minutes of what you actually do and what you offer, because this is pretty interesting.
So yeah, so basically, I know, as I've said, I've been through that kind of over the decades, putting on the weight, getting metabolically ill. We had to adopt because we weren't able to conceive a child in our 30s, and I didn't realize. I know now I was insulin resistant. I mean, my cellular function was so decreased that there were all sorts of problems related to that. Ones that was aware of, but also ones that I wasn't aware of. The functioning of sex hormones and even sperm creation. So I've today I left corporate. I trained as a coach initially. A coach, business executive, life coach, sort of thing. But because I had at the same time gone through this personal transformation. I'd like been diving deep into the weeds of how actually our cells work, far removed from the standard paradigm of calories in, calories out, um, which is just a trap, by the way. So if you're counting calories, do stop because it's not helping you.
Definitely.
Um, but yeah, so I actually also had gone through my own health transformation. Lost that 25 kilograms, 50 pounds of excess weight, reversed my skin conditions, got rid of the brain fog, and that helped at the same time. Quitting a secure, well-paid corporate job to set out on this uncertain path. And because I was still crazily listening to stuff and reading stuff about health and getting down the layers of literally from organs to tissues to cells to subatomic kind of organization of the particles within us. I realized that I had that a life coach or business coach just wasn't what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to help people turn it around, because I know that you're age 50, you've succeeded most of the time. You've built a house, or you've got a place to live. You've got a partner. You probably have kids. Maybe they're going, about to get through school, and the next 30 years could be wonderful. You've done the hard work. So why allow your health, age 62, which is the average health span in the UK these days, when you get your first disability from poor metabolic health, you could say, why not take advantage of those decades you've still got ahead of you to actually really thrive and enjoy the fruits of your labor, whether that be the material aspects of it or the grandchildren. Instead of, queuing to see doctors, my mum is going through the NHS system. It's an absolute nightmare. Taking pills, losing, being breathless, being in chronic pain, etc. When you're supposed to be actually, especially the pinnacle of your life. So, uh, I know perfectly well, as you do, that the damage takes decades to occur, and you start to really notice it by around the age 50, 40, 50, maybe 60 if you're lucky. But the good news is that it takes far less time to actually get back to de-accelerate your aging, and get back into kind of a prime state of life. But you can't get well in the environment you got sick in, you're going to have to do some changes to the way you spend your 24 hours. So yeah, so that's what I do today. So I've helped dozens of midlife men and a few women to do this, and the results. Once, even in the first week, the results are quite remarkable in terms of mood, brain fog, and of course those first most noticeable objective centimeters around the waist.
That's brilliant. And so you've had studied with the Noakes Foundation, have you?
I did the practitioner certification. That was a few years back, absolutely, and that was during my kind of uh, low carb period. That's what I applied to myself, by the way, low carb, high fat, intermittent fasting, daily walking. I understand today how actually the mechanism of action that was actually why that was helping me. But I've moved on from just that pure carbohydrate insulin model of obesity into more of a physics-based approach and looking at how actually cells work within the cell.
Mm.
Which sounds complicated, Phil. I should point out that I have protocols that tell you how to do it, actually without having to get into it. But when you know better and understand better, you do better. And my clients go away not only lighter, but also uh, knowing better how their entire environment is changing the way their cells work for the better or worse.
Brilliant. And that's what it's all about, mitochondrial health. And they say, look after the pennies, the pounds take care of themselves, right? So you go down to that cellular level. Fantastic. So, Roderick, thank you so much. And if you resonate with Roderick, book him up, and I'm sure he will sort you out because I know that he knows his stuff. Thank
That's
you very
right.
much, mate. Thank
Pleasure,
you.
Phil.